Hey everybody, this is Rob with All In Together. I just got back from calling Kansas City, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about the deck that me and my friends have been working on for about a month. I think Valda's super sweet, and I think she's a powerful deck that is underexplored right now. Today, I have some shoutouts for you guys, giveaway we're going to be doing, talk a little bit about why I think Valda's powerful, the card choices that I made for this event, or we made, rather, and wrap up, and just kind of talk to you guys a little bit about where I think she is and where we're going in the next couple months here. But first, I want to give a shout out and a huge thank you to everyone who's supported and watched my videos so far. Honestly blown away. Did not expect these videos to do this well. Did not realize there's such appetite for Guardian content currently. I really appreciate just all the support and everyone reaching out. This is super cool. I was blown away by we're almost at 500 subscribers. We have thousands of views. We're pretty close to getting monetized, so I'm super stoked, and I'll be pushing hard with Super Slam around the corner. But with that said, we have a giveaway. We got about 500 subs at this point, so I wanted to give away some Battle Duo Pulps. I know this card has not been as available as people want it, but if you guys want to win a playset of Battle Duo Pulps, just tell me in the comments about your favorite Guardian play you've ever made, and like, comment, and subscribe. That really helps me on the algorithm, really helps me put into people's feeds, so really appreciate that, and I want to be able to give back to you guys for all the love that you guys have given the videos. So thank you. It's not easy to build a deck, especially when you're entering a meta where everything's pretty refined, and we have a new deck that has, you know, maybe it's a little bit underpowered, maybe it's got some problems. I really want to thank Jamie Foster, Ellie Baird, Yuhili Bender, Pablo Pintor, Ed Knight, and Goblets from the Guardians of Wraith Discord for working with me this past month. It's been a lot of work, a lot of messages back and forth on these decks, a lot of just deck lists and games played, but without you guys, I would not have been able to put this deck together, so I really appreciate all of you guys, and I just wanted to say thank you for working with me, and I'm excited to see what we do next. And lastly, just a shout out to my editor. Molly's puts in a lot of work on these videos. Without her, these videos would be much worse and much, maybe unwatchable. So thank you to her. So let's get into Valda. Why would you want to play Valda? I think Valda is a very powerful deck. I think she's a cool hybrid between Bravo and Victor. She has a lot of dominate, she has solid disruption, and she also plays at a level of value that I think sits okay with where the meta is at right now. She is the biggest fridge in Fab. She can play 16 armor if she wants to in any matchup. It's really, really helpful into some of those aggressive matchups and some of those mid-range matchups where you can just say, this is the hand I want to keep. Let's block 16 with armor, and let's keep going. She really is good at closing games out, where I think Victor could sometimes struggle at closing games out. Valda has no issue. The turn she ends the game, she ends the game. She really punishes powerful heroes that like to draw a lot of cards, or like to kind of break the rules of Fab. She kind of keeps them in line. So I think that's a nice thing to have in a Guardian, and she gets a lot of free value from her surges. She feels a little bit like Azalea, where you can kind of keep chaining your dominates and kind of lock people out of a game, and sometimes they never feel like they had a chance. That can be a fun feeling to have. I know you get that a little bit with Bravo, but I think she does that a bit better. But she has some challenges, and she can get punished by D-Reacts, especially if they keep D-Reacts in Arsenal. So I think there's some card choices we make that help us deal with that, but it's something to be aware of. If they're sitting on an Arsenal for a while, just think about what if that's a D-React. She needs a lot of A+B kind of hands, or Runeblade hands, where you need surge generation, you need a certain amount of non-attacks, and you need your attacks. Where you want to keep bigger hands, but you can do some pretty powerful things with them. So you can get some bricky hands in sometimes, but you, I think, have a higher ceiling, but a lower floor. Her variable cost curve is a challenge, and it was really hard for us to deck build with that, because you want to have a lot of things go again in the case of if you have surges, you want to be able to use your full hand offensively. You want to be having things like Rouse, Tear, Pummel. Those are kind of bricky non-engine cards, but if you have full tempo, you really want to be able to put her on the gas. So it's sometimes put them in their place cost 6, sometimes it costs 0. How do you get full value out of your hand when you have a lot of cards that play that way? So it's tricky, but it's been a fun challenge. Like I mentioned before with some of our cards, we have the cards that work with her ability and a lot of cards that don't. So at what point do we have to sacrifice power for consistency or consistency for power? That's something we're still working on right now, but I think it's acceptable how we had this list. And occasionally, luckily we have a fridge to cover us up, but we have 5 non-blocks in the deck and a couple 2-blocks. So sometimes your blocking hands can be a bit messy. But I think Valda does a good job with her suite of armor to cover things up. So just be careful though in the end game. If you know you have no blocks coming, be careful. Let's get into her equipment. She has some pretty good equipment. Unfortunately, this is probably our worst piece of equipment, is our hammer. It's our best hammer by default. It's still a draft shaft from Tales of Aria, but I guess it's the best option we have. I was really hoping for a hammer that used surges or that had some interaction with our seismic surges, but high roller isn't really going to cut it. But I think this is okay, because we really rarely swing the hammer because it doesn't use our surges, and often our hands are just way too high value to play instead of just trying to block and swing hammer. But most of our blues do buff this hammer. The blues that don't buff this hammer are cards you want to play typically, or you just block with them. We don't play big hammer because we don't like to swing hammer in this deck. We'd rather block with our armor and send big attacks. This is our pairing with the Titan Fist. This card is nuts. It's a great marvel. It's a beautiful card. If you haven't had a chance to see it in person, it's awesome. This is a stellar piece of art and a very powerful card. It's basically carrying Husk on your arm. This is a card where you'll try to use the 1 and then the 3 block, or the 1 and the 2 kind of split out to cover on hits and get high value plays. And then the last 2 from having 6 surges is pretty uncommon to get. You'll get it usually once or twice a game, but you want to make sure you just cash that in for value whenever you can. You will win and lose games on margins like this, so be careful. But one thing to be careful with this card is if you're blocking for 1, let's say you just like cover a Kadachi or you cover a breakpoint like on a Snatch or any kind of forego again, and then you were to make surges at the end of your turn, make sure the chain is broken. So if you play Eruption at the end of their turn, make sure they say, okay, chain's broken, I'm going to Arsenal, you say, hold on, make surges, because if you make the surges before that while the shield is on the chain, you will lose additional counters on the shield and you'll waste value. But the cool thing with that is you can use surges as a D-react. So let's say you block for 1 and they pump it over just a little bit more, you can say play Eruption and then make 3 surges, pump this by 2 on the defense, and then you're able to cover some odd D-reacts. And sometimes you just block this for 0 just because, and you see what they do, because you can fake a D-reacts. Tech Plating is our best chest place by default. I think with the ley line of the old ones, this card is required. We tested a lot of Earthlore Bounty to start. It has a very high ceiling. Awful floor. This card, it can be so bricky and so awkward. This is just very consistent. It blocks 3 always. This is a battle-worn card that sticks around forever, mostly. It helps you power out your 4 costs, and then you have a lot of 2 and 5s that support those 4 costs, so that's really good. You'll have extra resources, so you can kind of feel out their variable cost curve. Tech Plating's nice to be able to pump things into, and then it's just, we always want to be having surges because we always want to be treating our hero power online and making blocking awkward. Providence is incredible. I've spoken about this card before. This is probably my favorite headpiece in the game, just for Guardian, because we don't have much better. But it's still a great floor. It's very helpful to clear out a bad heave, protect you from CNC. It's just, there's very few ways you can go wrong with Crown of Providence. There's just so many times you can say, oh, let's see if I can find something that fixes this hand. You can take a little bit of a gamble. Or if you just feel like, you know, I just need one thing, or like I just need a blue here, and this hand's fixed. Providence is awesome for that. So super high on Providence. We do have some other options as well. Sometimes we'll play Balance, especially with Gravy, Provident in the meta. And we can trigger this ourselves with our specialization card, put them in their place. It's a great way to punish heroes that we're good into, because they draw a lot of cards. This is a great way to punish Prism. Like on our testing, I was letting Prism hit with Erudition sometimes to turn my hat on to draw another card, and it makes a couple surges. So I think this card is sweet. Big fan of this. The spec can be a little awkward because sometimes you're just pondering a random card, but you can always kind of use Balance in any matchup as long as you're playing your specialization. So I think this card's good. We'll see how it lasts with Gravy changes coming, but pretty happy with how this plays. Iron Will is unfortunately our best option. I would rather play Crater Fist, but with how many Assassins are in play right now, we have to play Iron Will. Assassin's tough for us, but I think this gives us our best chance. If we know they're going to be playing Reacts, this blocks 3 and 2. This is a great way to cover big React attacks that you know are coming. So if you're able to, you know, set this up with like a D-React, you can give yourself a lot of room to play with. Players will often get caught off guard, especially because Guardian's kind of been out of the meta with Iron Will, so they will forget the text. It's a little bit of a gotcha for some players, but it's pretty powerful just to be able to have 5 block in your armor sometimes. If you don't want to pay like the 30 bucks or whatever this is right now, Crater Fist is like $1 or $2. Crater Fist is pretty awesome, and I think it's also a very reasonable option, and I would prefer to play Crater Fist because it's fun to just get a little more aggressive with her. But I think as things stand right now, Iron Will is probably the better option. Cringe, cringe, cringe. I hate these boots, not my favorite, but they block 3. And we can usually punish them for having a quicken in some way with things like Spinal Crush, or we can put them in a spot where they just like want to end their turn. Sometimes you can use this. This is kind of crazy. I don't know. Sometimes you can flush bag bad players. Sometimes you can just put this in a spot and they just say, actually, I will Arsenal, and I will hold on, and I will give you space.
Really holding space with that.
And you go, okay, cool. It gives you room to like pressure them back, to mess them up. You can force people to Arsenal sometimes with specific steps. If you have like a CNC, or if you have like Disable or something, like, or if you're playing Fault Line, You just block specific steps, and you like, oh, they're like, oh, it's arsenal here. You go, great, now I have an arsenal target to try to push. You know, plays well with Spinal. It's okay. I would prefer better boots. I hope Super Slam is a better option. We'll see. As well, we play AB3. I didn't put a slide for that, but just AB3 I think is okay for Wizards. Your mileage may vary. There's a lot of Wizards in my local meta, so it's just something I have to respect. But I know people are cutting on AB. Do what's best for you. Let's get to the main board. Let's start with probably the biggest overperformer for me. This card is an absolute workhorse. This card beats people's ass. This card rocks. If this card was Majestic, I'd be happy with it. Maybe we play the Blues too, starting on. I'll think about it. I know some players do, but just this is an absolute glue card. It's woundable. If you have a Surge, you started the turn with, this comes in for 3. So it's paying a blue for an 8 power that makes a resource for another turn. If you have Promising Terrain, that makes another resource. If you hit with a Leyline, that's another resource. There's just so many things that this card is really good at. I wish it had Crush, so you can actually get Dominate with it. But even then, even without having Crush, this card's an absolute just monster. It's an overperformer every single time I play it. This is your main thing that's going to make sure you keep having Dominate over and over and over again. Players can't stop. This allows you to kind of keep up with the best value decks. I remember I was spoiled. I was super high on this card. I know not everybody was, but I have been vindicated. This card is disgusting, and this is a huge all-star in the deck. Pummel is a Guardian Classic. This is a staple in the deck. It's a great extender. This is a bit of a non-engine card. We can't use Surges with it, but if you have like a Spinal Crush and you have 4 Surges, and so you pay 1 for your Spinal Crush and you have 2 floating, you got a card left. You pummel it. It's really sweet. I've been a huge fan of Pummel in this list. There are some decks that people just say, okay, you have a Spinal with Dominate, cool, here's my armor. And you go, not so fast, idiot. You gotta pummel them and you just gotta ruin their game. This card's just so powerful in Guardian. And like, yeah, it's bricky, it's bad. Sometimes maybe I don't want to be on 3. But like, this is an aggressive deck. We're not trying to play fatigue, we're not trying to block too much. We have armor for blocking, and we want to kill people. And Pummel is a great way to kill people and force through on hits. Put them in their place. This card is gross. This card is a card that I remember reading, and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. This is like a good spec for her. This is a better spec than I thought she was going to get. I know a lot of people talked about this and said, well, it discards their hand, and they, maybe you unbrick them. Like, maybe you unbrick them, but the big thing is, in Flesh and Blood, you're breaking how the game is played, because when they discard their hand and draw it up, they're forced to convert a random 4 cards. They have no idea what those 4 cards are. They could be totally shit, they could be great. But the other side is, you're getting, however many Surges for whatever they draw, and you are setting yourself up for another Dominate to put them in a spot where they're just going to be taking so much damage turn after turn after turn. If you watch the game I played with Lupine Fiasco earlier on the channel, we played this early on, and he's like, oh yeah, put them in their place. My hand's fine, whatever. I'll just actually, I'll redraw my hand. I'll take the 10 and redraw. And I just put him in a loop for the rest of the game where I just kept punishing and beating his ass. This card is so powerful. If you are playing against Valda, block this card. This card is so gross. Huge fan of this. Can't wait to see more cards like this for her, because I think this is exactly what she wants to play, and I hope we get another spec coming soon for her. Spinal is kind of your second player to your put them in their place. This is a great Dominate target. This is very impactful disruption into anything that's aggressive or anything that wants to play kind of at a wider angle. So even in like Warriors, Ninjas, whatever, Assassin, like Slippy, this is a good card to play into. Especially you'll often be in situations where you can play this for 2 cards. If you have 3 Surges lying around, and then you're going to go Tech Plating to start, and then Spinal Crush. So you go, here's my 2-card 9 with Dominate that ruins your turn, and I get a Surge. This card is very powerful. I've talked bad about this card in Jarl because he can't discount it like other heroes can. When this card comes in for as a 2-card play, this card is gross. This is a very good card, and she can force it through on heroes with low armor. So you need this into decks like Syndra. Eruption. Welcome back, Energy. It's good to have you. I love glad that we have kind of an MSD card in Master Pack Guardian. This card is super powerful. I love just sitting this in Arsenal and just waiting and finding the turn where you go, okay, I need Dominate here, I need to fix my hand. You're able to play resources at your Arsenal. The last years I could do that were all broken and all LL'd in like 12 months. This is disgusting. This is good. I think we'll see playing a lot of Guardians. This will probably be in Pleiades. This should probably be in Bravo. This card's good. I was hoping to be good enough in Jarl. Unfortunately, Jarl doesn't play enough Guardian cards, or really many, so I think this is... I miss on him, but I think this card is awesome. It's a great... Art looks awesome, but it's just so good to like put this in your arsenal and wait for them to go CNC, and you go, eat shit, buddy. Or if they, like, you can block with your Testament and pump it. This is really good. So this is a power card that lets us go off. If they Codex and you go, okay, here's my Seismic, so I can get back my... put them in their place, block with my armor, and then end the game. This card is sick. Cranial Crush is our first of our big blue 8s. It's got Valda on the card, so you gotta play it.
You sure about that? That's why?
The card is awesome. It's got Crush. It's our best blue big 8s. On hit's relevance. I have found that sometimes that, you know, you just have surges, so sometimes like playing Cranial Crush off one card, it's pretty good. It felt pretty good to play. It's a blue block 3 at very worst, so it's just like everything you want. You need to have a certain density of Guardian attacks, and preferably with Crush to get Dominate. This card is good. It turns on Rouse. I've sung this card's praises on many of my videos. Just love these. Expect big blue Guardian attacks in this video. Disable, in a similar vein. The on-hit is pretty good. I'm kind of off and on playing the reds of this card. I think it's pretty good, but often if they sit on a D-react, it just kind of feels awkward. But I've had many times where I just go disable for 7 off one card. Decent on-hit, and it's a great way to close games. Plays well with your Rouse. Very reasonable, very respectable card to have. Grandeur. This is a card I've owned for my entire Fab career because I was like, oh, this is so sick. I saw a Bravo play it at a European calling when I started. I was like, I need to own that. And then I've never played it until like 3 weeks ago. But it feels good. It's awkward being a no-blocking Guardian, but you often want to just throw hands anyway. So this helps you just keep up on surges and keep up your dominates. This is great to, especially with promising terrain. Feels super good to just like pitch this when you have terrain out. Or like if you play terrain and then you go activate tech plating, pitching Grandeur, make 4 surges. That's sick. And then you have 2 floating to do whatever else with. This card's good. Is it required? No. It's like probably $200 or whatever. Maybe $150. I don't know. I wouldn't break the bank for this card. This is not the first card I buy for this deck. I think if you're like, all right, I really want to optimize this deck, I think Granger's a good play. It's felt good, but it's not required. Headbutt. Headbutt is our best blue 6 from Master Pack Guardian. The problem though I have is I break my head pretty early often, so you don't get the full value out of Headbutt. But often, if you're able to hold your head, like if you have a Balance of Justice and you don't crack it for a while, it's a good 7. It's decent value. You can easily play this for 1 card with a couple surges, and every now and again you snipe someone with armor. This is really sick in Verdance. I had a friend of mine be practicing this deck, and he played a Headbutt with Dominate, and then he pummeled it on a Verdance, and sniped her Plume very early in the game, and he beat her ass. I think this card is sweet. It's a nice expansion to the Guardian card pool. I hope we see kind of some more monitoring of these cards, but this card is good. Imposing is really cool. This is a card that I'm happy with in the deck. I'm like, maybe not super happy I have to play it, but because it's our copies of Leyline 2 through 4, you have to play this card. It's a blue block 3 that would go again, and if you already have Leyline, it lets you grab terrain, which is also a very good card in this deck. And if you have a full hand, playing the terrain is pretty good. So I think this card's good, but it can be awkward running a lot of non-attacks in this deck. Maybe we want to add some more cards like Surface Shaking in to use with Imposing, but we'll see. I think it's something we want to test on more. This card is nuts. This card is like the reason to play Valda. This card is Nutter Butters. It's super expensive right now, but this card is so powerful. And I remember I watched Machambe unveil this card, and I fell to my knees in the parking lot. I cried. I put real tears out. It was beautiful. This is the reason you should play Valda. This is a 0-cost instant that when it comes in, it makes a surge, and then on hit, make a surge, and you lose it if you can't make a surge that turn. This makes Tectonic so good. This is like you just keep Tectonic around, and then just like every single time you makes all your Guardian cards have on hit, make it basically generate a value. Allows you to chain dominates back to back to back. If you go play this on turn 0, your deck becomes so good. The Marvel's absolutely gorgeous. What a great card. So this is, I think the reason to play Valda is this allows you to just be an unfair hero that plays on accesses that Guardians normally can't. So, you know, if you're where I was talking about Grandeur, this is the card you don't really need Grandeur for this deck. You need Leyline. Leyline is so powerful. This is a Macho Grande. If you know Guardian, you know this card. This card is amazing. It doesn't play with your hero power, but it still just closes games out really well. I think I've killed more people with Macho Grande in this deck than any other card. It's still just so good to just have like a surge left, and like play Macho from Arsenal with 2 cards and just kill people with 8 dominate. It's very good in those close kind of grindy games as well with Rouse. I don't know what else there's to say about how good this card is, but this card is great. This card is so good. I love this card so much. I know I just keep like glazing cards, but there's just like, I think Valda's got a lot of fun cards that all play very synergistically all together. I think in other Guardians they don't work quite as well, but in Valda, Promising Terrain is a house. This card is Mordred Tide for Seismic Surges. It's a card that looks pretty good. It looks at, okay, it's a blue block 3 with Go Again, so, you know, it can make extra surges, and if you were at the start of your turn, you can draw a card and gain a life if you fulfill the condition. That looks pretty good. It plays better. I will tell you, every single time I play this card feels amazing. It's a playable blue. if your hand lets you cast it, I would cast it. This card feels better to play. It's like, if you can get the trigger, it is better to play this card than to block with it usually. Rouse is our go again. Our really only go again option, I think, in this deck. I think it's our best go again option. It's non-engine, so it's a little bricky, it's a little weird. But I like pitching it with attacks for second cycle, so I can go Rouse into a big attack, especially if I have some surges to go with it. But I've found games where I have a lot of surges, and I can just, like, if I just Arsenal Rouse and wait for the turn I have my surges, I can go Rouse until I put them in their place. Rouse into Batter to a Pulp. Rouse into Pulverize. You can get some really, really just a high damage turns that let you end games. So I think this card is required in this deck, even though it's a knock 2 block. It's still good, but we'll see. I think with Gravy, this is kind of a needed card, but it's good to be able to put pressure on decks like Verdance, too. Terras, my boy Terra Sunder. This is probably the best Guardian card in the Guardian card pool before Mastery Pack Guardian. I think maybe we have some better cards now, but as far as generic Guardian goes, this is our best option. This is a power blue. This is so easy to cast. If I just, other than games, I'll just Arsenal this and just wait for my turn with all my surges, and they give me a little bit of space, and wait for the armor to start chipping down. Wait for a turn, they're off D-Reacts. There's no Arsenal. You're like, okay, I'm clear to play this. I play this card so much first cycle, where like I feel like in many other gardens you have to play the second cycle. You don't need to Anathos. You can go Terra Sunder on like an Aftershock. You can Terra Sunder on put them in their place. Terra Sunder on a Spinal, and you just rip people to shreds. So use your Dominates early to kind of clear your space for Terra Sunder, and then once the armor's kind of chipped down, and they give you space, you send a Terra Sunder, and you just take their hand, and you can close the game pretty quickly after that. Instability is amazing. This is a card that should have been Majestic. This and Aftershock just feel like they were like some of the last cards spoiled for Master Pack Guardian. And I saw these and I was like, oh, okay, this deck makes sense. This deck actually works now. This is Dissolve Reality for Guardian. Each hero puts the card from their arsenal on the bottom and they draw a card. And then you make a ton of surges. So it helps you fill your Dominate. Gets rid of their D-Reacts, gets rid of combo pieces from some decks. So like Acilio's sitting on his Gone in a Flash waiting for his combo turn. You just go Instability, and you make him put his Gone in a Flash back, and then he has to draw a 0-block instant that's not going to help him. And then when he discards it to his hero back ability, you make another Surge. So it's a great blue go again, block 3. Keeps us flush with surges. This is a card that you're not afraid to Arsenal. It's totally okay to just like ponder this away and go, okay, yeah, this works. Big fan of this card. Super happy to have this. Thunderquake is our last big blue, I think. Generate surges, if off the heave. It's okay. It's still my least favorite blue, so you can't dominate this one, but it's okay. I wish we had more ways to kind of clear it from Arsenal, but this is a pretty good card. Talk about our sideboard, more of our deck choices. So these are kind of, I play most of I think I play almost every card there in every matchup. But we'll go into kind of how we split things up. Batter to a Pulp is one of our new cards from Master Pack Guardian, kind of. This is a really good attack. It's a 6 for 10, so it's a huge amount of damage. This lets us kill Gravy's Compass. This really helps us in the Prism matchup when they start to set up a board, and we're able to dominate on this, and we just clear through all their angels. It's a really nice card to just like send and just crush people with. It's like when you get next to some resources, like if you play this off a Eruption, really powerful, and it's just a nice way to use a full hand of cards to do damage. So I think this card is sweet, and it's going to be a mainstay. Chokeslam is a great classic Guardian card. I think this is something you need right now because there's a lot of Slippy. If Slippy wasn't in the meta, I think you could play something like Debilitate instead, or like Disable. It is a good 2-card attack. You often have just a couple surges, so if you have like 2 surges, you can go Activate Tech. Chokeslam. If you have no surges, this is a good pummel target. Or if you have 3 surges, this is a great pummel target. Happy with this one. It's just a good way to kind of fight on value. Aftershock's better, but this is still good. CNC is probably the most contentious card in our deck. This is a card we went back and forth about a lot in testing. It's bricky in the way it doesn't use your surges. Feels great. I can't tell you how many games I've had where I have 6 surges, 8 surges, draw my hand, no Guardian attacks. My last card is Command and Conquer. I'm like, well, it's not where you want to be. But it's important to kind of fight back against these D-React heavy decks. So like a lot of aggressive decks will play D-Reacts to counter you, and they should be. But this is a way to punish them for playing those D-Reacts and trying to get them. You can still pummel this. It's very bad. It's not as good as pummeling with Tunic. Like I won't take damage to pummel it, but if I'm in a spot where I have full tempo, also I'll pummel it. So CNC, why not? But it's good into Assassin. It's good into a lot of these mid-range decks. It's good into Verdance. It's okay. I don't love having to play this. Maybe we cut it at one point, but it's hard. I don't want to play a CC deck that doesn't run Command and Conquer. It feels wrong. But if you're playing from a budget perspective, I don't think you need to play CNC. I don't think it's required, but it's been nice for me. Crash and Bash is a very efficient 4-block that generates surges. Card can be a bit clunky though, just being a block card. Maybe this is something we look to cut down or play a little bit less of. I know in some testing, I'm talking to some folks. Some people are pretty high on this card, some people are kind of low on this card. Maybe we cut it down from 3. Maybe there's just too many blocking cards and not enough attacks in this deck. It's something we're looking to consider, but it's a card that feels good. When it feels really good, it's awesome. But sometimes it's a little weird. Crush the Weak is a great dominate card into aggro. It's so good and it's slippy right now. You really kind of need this card to fight back into a lot of the aggressive decks. We are a good deck, like we're a decent deck right now, but we can struggle into the super aggressive decks like Syndra and Slippy. But if you're able to just have 3 surges and block 9 and then send a Crush the Weak with dominate, you really get yourself a lot of space. Oh man, it is so good to have this card back in my deck. I love playing this card in Guardian. This is like my favorite Guardian card ever. I saw this card when I was new and I was like, this is everything I want. Coming from Magic, from playing big dumb green decks, this is what I miss. This is an incredible card in mid-range mirrors, where you just like need to say, nope, you don't attack this turn. I need you to block out and give me space. We can heave this really well. We can't really give it dominate too often, but we have a lot of surges. I can't tell you how many times I've had 10 surges, and then I gotta go block 9 pulverize. It's so sick. It feels so good to play Pulverize. It's really funny to Terra Sunder this card and give it Dominate, make them discard 2 cards. You probably shouldn't do that, but if you're able in a situation where you just like aren't taking a lot of damage and you're able to do that, it's so brutal to you just beat the hell out of them. They're taking so much damage. They basically have to just pass back to you. It's sick, but you know, don't try at your own risk. Sink Below is just like the best ERX in the game. This is a card we pretty much always have to play. It's hand filtering, which is really nice for Valda. I think we always kind of need some kind of reacts. This is an important card just for Slippy, for a lot of the little gotchas in the game right now. It's good to block 4, and I don't know if there's much else to say about this card. It's incredible. It's maybe it's like a power 9 of Fab. This is a card that I think will always be good until they ban it one day. I hope they don't. But this card rocks, and I think it should be in every Guardian deck. So Midas Touch. I think this is the card that solves our Prism matchup. I know it's not the highest priority matchup right now because I think this is really good in both Prism and Gravy, but when I was testing this with friends, they would use a card you can just Arsenal and sit on all game and just wait. I had a game where it was like 38-2, and they go, okay, this is my pivot turn, ALS, Soraya. And they go, great, I don't care. And then you go, I break your Soraya, I play some auras out, then I hammer your ALS. And then I'm set up for next turn to crush them. And then you just wait for that turn to find a Battle Pulp and you end the game. As well, this is a great way to help in Gravy and just pop a chum. Giving them 4 gold is not ideal, but then whenever they draw, and if they're not responsible with how they draw, they can really put themselves in a bad spot. And it's a good way to clear cheap allies like Limpet or like Rigor Mortis. Like I'm not super upset about killing a Rigor Mortis to give them 1 gold if I'm able to clear out a card like Rigor Mortis. But yeah, this is like when you have your surge, your 10 surges pop, you got Pulverize, and they go activate Chum, and you go cool, Midas Touch it. That feels incredible. So I think this card's really good right now. Hopefully it's more tools for allies, but as of right now, this is our best tool in the Gravy. Some closing thoughts here, just to go over kind of how I feel about this deck, how it's been performing for me, how it's been performing with some friends of mine. I have a couple thoughts. So I think she's a very powerful proactive Guardian. She's a very good, whereas decks like Victor has a lot of trouble if they just say no block, if they just block you out and they pass, and you go, how do I convert this hand? Valda doesn't really have that problem. Valda's really good at using her hands. She's really good at putting pressure and just doing damage. This hero hits hard, and she hits fast. She's able to keep up with a lot of good decks. Because of that, she can play mid-range, she can keep up with these kind of high damage decks. She has good disruption in a lot of decks, especially as some decks are lacking in armor. She has some pretty good numbers, and she has some very powerful non-attacks that help her kind of convert these full hands and get a lot of value turn to turn. So I think this is overall a really sweet step for Guardian. I think this is where we want to be. Do I wish this set came out a couple months ago when it was supposed to come out? Absolutely. But I do think Valda is a good deck. I think she's a powerful Fab hero, and I think as we get more cards, she's going to be in a really good spot, and as some of these top decks maybe lose a card or two, I think she'll be really good in the meta. Problems that we have, though, is she's a bit inconsistent. She's a Runeblade Guardian, so you're kind of looking at these, I want to have A and B in each hand, and I need these things to kind of work together. You kind of need all these combos to function, and when they function, they're incredibly powerful. You're playing a buff rate, you're doing some unfair things, but you also want to keep bigger hands, so you don't want to block as much, so you're kind of susceptible to things, but you have the big fridge to help you there. You can have some really awkward draws. You can draw things at the wrong time. You can have all your surge generation at the bottom of your deck. You can have all the surge generation and no attacks, and it feels awful, but those are less common. I think she's just a good high ceiling, but lower floor than some of the other Guardians, but she's able to keep up with some of the best decks in the meta. meta, so I think she's okay. As we've kind of played this more and more, we've seen some really refined decks she's played into, so maybe she just doesn't have the refinement, but maybe this isn't quite the meta for her. The established meta kind of really pulls you in a lot of different directions, and Guardian can have trouble with all those tools to kind of, we need a lot of D-Reacts for Slippy, we need a lot of pressure and kind of specialized cards to deal with heroes like Gravy and Verdance. We just need to have a big variety of tools, and we have to have so many different crush cards that impact certain heroes, so it's tough for us to have the crush cards that impact the right heroes, to have the certain defensive cards we need, and have kind of utility cards. There's so many cards we want, and there's only 80 cards we can play, so it kind of puts us in a tougher spot, but not to say that she's not a powerful deck. I think that's something I really want to clarify here, is there's a lot of decks that are not good because they're just bad. Like, they just can't do the thing. Valda has powerful things she does, and she can do the powerful thing. She can be a force in the meta. You can win events with Valda, I think. This is a hero that just does good things in Fab and has great numbers. But there's still some things to figure out. But we've just had this hero for a very short amount of time. Like, I remember a month into Jarl, I was like, this hero is not really all the way cooked. I think Mastery Pack Guardian will probably have the rest of the cards he needs to be like a finished hero. But I remember I've won Pro Quests. I've done really well at larger events with Jarl without any other cards that he's had in his card pool. I think he's a sweet deck. So I think maybe it's just us tinkering more and more with Valda, and she'll be where she needs to be. But overall, I think I'm pretty happy with how she came out. I know Mastery Pack Guardian has disappointed some players. I think it's a pretty good product still. I think there's some really powerful cards. I think there's some cards that are a bit that are misses. But I think Valda's a good hero, and I think it behooves you, if you're a fan of Guardian, to give her a shot. So I've got my list in the description down below with my full sideboard. But please like, comment, subscribe if you appreciated the video. Let me know which other content you guys want to see next. And don't forget about our giveaway. You guys can follow me on Blue Sky. I have all my information down below. If you have questions, either reach out to me on Blue Sky or on Discord. I'm happy to chat with you guys. I'll probably try to put out some gameplay videos before I head off to Montreal for Super Slam. But I will definitely record some stuff when I'm up in Montreal and put some stuff out shortly after that with my thoughts on the set coming up. We might do some spoiler reviews as well, but really appreciate the time. Thank you all for watching these videos. They mean the world to me. Thank you for just letting me talk to you guys and just ramble on and on about how much I love Guardian, how much I love Flesh and Blood, and the cool decks we've been able to put together. I just want to say thank you guys so much. If you guys have questions, leave a comment or reach out. I got my contact info in the description. Thank you for now, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.